This is exercise number 4 for chapter 12. And again, we're dealing with JIT. We're going to look at some journal entries. The first thing that we're going to look at, I'm going to go down and just see here. It says determine the budgeted cell conversion cost per hour, if required, rounded to the nearest dollar. So conversion cost per hour, and then it's going to ask me determine the budgeted cell conversion cost per unit, if required, round. So Motion Media uses a JIT, or just-in-time strategy, to manufacture DVD players. The company manufactures DVD players through a single product cell. The budgeted conversion cost for the year is $1,122,000 for 2,200 production hours. Well, with that I can figure out my rate. Each unit requires 12 minutes of cell process time, and during May, 910 DVD players are manufactured in the cell. The material cost per unit is $57. Well, the first thing I have to do is A, determine the budgeted cell conversion cost per hour. I'm going to take the $1,122,000. That's from right here. I'm going to divide that by 2,200. And when I do that, it equals $510 even. So I'm good there, and of course I would plug that number in, which I have. Next, determine the budgeted cell conversion cost per unit. Well, I'll take the $510 per hour, and I'm going to multiply that times the amount of time, which is 12 minutes. That's 2/10 of an hour, but I can multiply it by 12 minutes over 60. And I will get $102 even. So now I have my budgeted conversion time per unit in that cell. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to record the journal entries that are listed there, 1 through 4. The first one is materials are purchased for May production. So we have the materials, which are $57 per unit, and we are going to put 910 into production. So I'm going to debit my account raw and in process for the 910 units times 57. Okay, that's 57 times 910 units. That equals 51,870. So I'm going to debit it for 51,870. I'm going to credit my accounts payable for $51,870. So I've now made my journal entry, the first journal entry, to record the purchase of those. Something that's unique about JIT is we have eliminated an account. Under the traditional manufacturing, we have an inventory account for raw materials. Then we have work in process, then we have finished goods. Under JIT, we combine the raw materials and the work in process, into a raw and in process. So it eliminates one thing. That helps us to eliminate a move time. We also have to have a very strong cooperation with our suppliers to make sure that the materials come in so we can put it straight into processing. The next journal entry, it says conversion costs were applied to the production. So we have 910 units. We have my conversion costs. I'm going to be debiting my raw and in process. Spelled it wrong. I'm going to be crediting my conversion cost account. The amount that I'm going to be doing that for is the $102 we determined here. That's my conversion cost per unit. So I'm going to take the 910 units times, was it 102 minutes? Yes, or $102. So 910 times 102 is 92,820. So I'm going to be debiting my raw and in process for 92,820. I'll credit my conversion cost for 92,820. The third journal entry, 910 players are assembled and placed into finished goods. So I'll take the accounts. Finished goods is going to be debited. My raw and in process will be credited. And I'm going to be taking the materials and the conversion costs and transferring all those to finished goods. So I'm going to take the 51,870 plus the 92,820. So I'll take this number and this number, add those together. That equals 144,690. I'm going to debit finished goods. I'll credit my raw and in process for 144,690. So we have that journal entry. Now the fourth and final journal entry, it says 860 players were sold for $281. So we're going to record the sale. First, we're going to debit our accounts receivable for the total sales price. And the sales price is going to be 860 times 281. So that equals 241,660. So I debit my accounts receivable for 241,660. I'm going to credit my sales for 241,660. Finally, I also have to record my cost of goods sold. So I'm going to debit my cost of goods sold. And the cost of goods sold is going to be for the number of units we sold, which is 860. I'm going to have to multiply that times the cost of the units, and the cost of the units and materials were 57. So I can figure out my cost by taking the $57 for the materials, my conversion cost per unit of 102. That's $159 times 860. That equals 136,740. So the cost of the units I sold is 136,740, and I'm going to credit my finished goods because I've sold it, take it out of inventory, and there's my entry for that. So this entry, I took my materials plus the conversion cost, which is 57 and 102. My total cost to convert them, 159, and that was multiplied times my number of units sold. The number of units sold is 860. So now I have recorded those journal entries. The purchase of my materials, the conversion cost to convert the number of units, 910 converted. I then transferred those to my finished goods, and finally I sold some of those units.